moment with Sister Prisca. Today, I'm going to tell you a story. The title of this story is MMASINACHI. Beauty is from God. This is an African story. The novel is going to be out very soon, but I want to read the story to you so you can drop at the comment section what you think about the content of this story. It's such a wonderful story that you would not like to miss, even to have a copy for yourself. Now I begin without wasting much time. MMASINACHI. MMASINACHI, as the village would rather call her, entered the world with a body that seemed to question her name, beauty from God. In Omaze, names were never casual. They were prayers, warnings, sometimes quiet arguments with destiny. So when people heard the name, they exchanged glances. Some whispered that it was a murder sentence to soften fate. Others believed Akudia had chosen it in defiance, insisting that her daughter's words would not be measured by the symmetry of her limbs. She was the only girl, the fourth child, arriving long after her parents had accepted that their home would echo only with the voices of sons. Akodia herself was a woman who rarely bowed to circumstance. A formidable trader, she moved through Omaise markets with the certainty of someone who understood both people and profits. Her tongue was sharp, her discipline unbending, and her presence strong enough to study and to steady quarrel before they began. For years, she led the Women's Association with such authority that she eventually stepped aside, worried that people might begin to suspect she held some hidden power. In truth, she had simply inherited her mother's strengths. Her mother, who in the days of Amifeke Market had been spoken of with a kind of reverence. Mma's coming unsettled the quiet rhythm of the household. Nearly a decade had passed since Akudia and Amadi last imagined themselves as new parents. Their sons were growing into their own stubbornness, their own dreams. The couple had begun to speak of rest, of a future where their hands would no longer be tied by the demands of infancy. So when Akudia woke one morning, too weak to rise, too nauseous to prepare for the market, Amadi felt a familiar fear stirred in him. His wife of 22 years never took to her bed unless a child was on the way. He touched her neck, felt the heat beneath her skin, and something inside him tightened. Aku, he murmured, you are burning with fever. You haven't moved since dawn. Let me call Okoro before this becomes something worse. She only nodded, her breath shallow. The morning light filtered through the raffia blinds, casting thin lights across her face. He too, still, watching her chest move as he thought of his two late wives, who died childless within 2 years of marriage in a car accident, returning from a festival. Even after his third wife, Akudia, who was now his first surviving wife, gave him four sons after the memory of Luz, it lived inside him like a shadow that refused to leave. He hurried out of the compound, calling for help, but it was not Okoro who arrived. It was Mweke, the renowned herbalist, whose remedies were said to cure everything except a curse from the gods. She entered the hut with the quiet confidence of a woman who had seen life in all of its form. Her wrapper was tied firm around her waist, her hair wrapped in a faded cloth, her eyes sharp and steady. My daughter, stand up, she said. Let me look at you. Akodia struggled to her feet. Mbeke examined her eyes, lifting each eyelid with practiced fingers. A flicker across her face. Surprise, then certainty. She turned to Amadi. Let us speak outside. The air outside was cool, carrying the scent of early morning smoke from neighboring compounds. Amadi followed her, his heart pounding. Everyone, he said, whatever you have seen, speak it. I have known sorrow before. Nothing can frighten me more than what I have already buried. It is good news, she replied. Your wife is pregnant, but she also had malaria. And if we do not treat it quickly, it may harm the child. Amadi stared at her, stunned. Pregnant? How? We have not expected a child in years. My last son will soon be 10, and Akudia, she has passed the age. Do you doubt me? Her voice sharpened. Have I ever spoken falsely about women and childbirth in this village? No, he said quietly. But this truth is heavy. It needs time to settle. Then later speak with your wife. Inside, the heart felt smaller, as though the words themselves were listening. Akudier's eyes widened as the words fell from Ombeke's lips. Pregnant? How can that be? I hardly meet my husband. My body has stopped its monthly signs. Tell me, Mbeke insisted, when last did Amadi touch you? Akudia hesitated. Shame tightened her throat. About 5 months ago, he came home drunk. I tried to leave the room, but he beat me until I stayed. I never imagined that night would lead to this. Silence settled over the room, heavy and unkind. My daughter, Mbeke said gently, your pregnancy is 5 months alone. Age has changed your body. That is why you did not notice. But the malaria must be treated immediately. I will gather herbs that will heal you without harming the child. Akudia covered her face. Where will I begin? I am no longer strong. What of my business? How will I manage this burden again? You will begin today, Mbeke replied. Before evening, I will return with the herbs. Amadi, my fee is 10 naira. It will be ready, he said. As she stepped out of the compound, the old cock, kept for 3 years and spent through many festivals, crowed loudly. It was unusual, almost deliberate. The sound caught through the air like a sign. Mbeke paused, turned, and studied the bird. This cock, she said slowly, must be used to prepare the first pepper soup your wife will eat after childbirth. The girls preserve it for these purpose. The child she carries is not ordinary. She left before 8 of them. She left before either of them could speak. True to your word, she turned at sunset with bundles of herbs, accompanied by her daughter, Nwadioto. The sky was streaked with orange, the kind of evening that made the village look washed in gold. People often whispered about the mysteries surrounding Nweke's lineage, how her mother had conceived her without a husband, and how she herself had conceived Nwadioto in the same manner. The rumors swelled until a drunken man, Nwokorie, busted into a market barn that he had trapped her under the guise of treatment and taken advantage of her. It was likely the same had happened to her mother. When she heard the rumor, something inside her collapsed. She could not remember the details clearly, only that Nwokorie had often brought her herbs and she fell ill. She knew the herbs she needed, but traditions forbade a herbalist from treating herself, and so she had trusted him. Now, as she stood in Amadi's compound, handing the herbs to Akudia, there was a high strength in her eyes, a strength born from surviving when she could not fully name. And so began the story of MMASINACHI, the child who arrived unbidden, wrapped in mystery, and destined to alter the reading of every life around her. It took everybody in the village by surprise when Akudia delivered her baby after 10 years and within a period that could best be described as a period of non-childbirth for any woman her age. When she had delivered of the baby, Akudia could not bear the sight of the baby because it looked very ugly. No child born in her lineage was ever hard her looks. The baby had bloated cheeks, swollen eyes, big stomach, flat nose, and bow legs. The nurses shuddered at such creature. Akudia wept on seeing the baby. Her mother, Ogunwani, warned her not to weep, but to muster the courage and embrace the innocent child, no matter the circumstance. Akudia, take care of your baby. Whatever the situation is, just take care of your baby. God creates every human being with unique features. Ugwuanyi told Akudia, but Mama, what kind of a baby had God given to me at this time? I never prepared having any baby, and I wonder why God has to give me this kind of baby at this time. We are a family of very beautiful and handsome people, and I wonder where this came from. Akudia lamented. Will you shut up your mouth? How dare you question God? Take up your responsibility by taking care of your baby. Don't you ever question God again. Mama, I have heard you. Whatever marvels, what even marvels me is that this baby is a woman, and I wonder how she would fit into the society. Many people will begin to question her origin. Our people like creating mountains out of molehill. Don't worry about what people will say. This is your first and only female child. You must take care of her, and that must start now. Akudia began to change her perception of that child, and as if the baby was aware of the problem created by its nature, it refused to cry, but just watched as if it could see them talking about her unfortunate nature. It couldn't even cry for breast milk or water. It was strange because babies are always in need of food and water. She was silently strange. Akudia thought of what could be the unfortunate reaction of Agnes, her co-wife, on sighting the baby. Agnes was known for making a caricature of anything or anybody that seemed odd around her. She would give any child any name according to her immediate perception of that child. About 2 months ago, she annoyed her fellow woman, Egondo, when she jokingly described the woman's son as a child whose face resembled that of a dog called Bingo. The woman could not bear the damaging insult in that caricature statement, and a fight ensued between them. Agnes, why should you describe a human being as a dog? Asked Mami Jama, who was a living witness to the fight. I was only joking about it. I never knew it would annoy Egondo, my friend. But jokes apart, if you look at the boy's face thoroughly, you will surely confirm my statement. Everybody at the scene burst into laughter, but Ikondo was still furious against Agnes and gave her a dirty slap. The fight reignited again, and this time it was too dirty as both women tore their wrappers into shreds. The story of the fight goes to the chairperson of Women's and Women League, who fined Agnes 200 naira, a basket of garden egg, 2 crates of egg, and 2 crates of mineral for causing an unnecessary fight through her unceasing mockery of an innocent child. Agnes was the second wife of Amadi. It was a tradition that a man could marry a second wife if the first wife could not give birth to a male child or if the woman was barren. But in this case, Akudia gave her husband 4 boys, and everybody was angry when Amadi took Agnes into his home as a second wife. The story had it that Amadi was the bravest hunter who killed the bear that destroyed crops in many farmlands in Omeze village for many years. The loss was so much that the king had to make an open promise that whoever would kill the bear would marry his last daughter, Agnes. Amadi wasn't interested in the king's daughter as a wife when he ventured into killing the bear. The king's promise is attractive because his last daughter is the most beautiful of his daughters. It was even rumored that the king's concubine from Morocco gave birth to her. Ndo, one of the hunters, added. I was even told that she attended a teacher's training college in Abo and that she could speak English more than the English people. Okechi, the hunter from Umobo, added. The truth is that we have lost so much to the bear to the extent that our women have refused to go to the farm as frequent as they should. They call this a wasted effort since they work their hands since they work their eyes out only for the bears to destroy all the farm proceeds. My interest is to kill the bear and rescue our people from his onslaught. If I kill the bear and the king insists that I should take his daughter, I wouldn't object because my one and only Akudia, whose name means the words of a husband, is enough for me because she's my wealth in all ways. Amadi Pratt. Anyway, I know you are not a smart hunter like many of us. You hardly even kill a squirrel these days, let alone kill a bear. So go home and cuddle your Akudia and leave us to hunt down the evil bear. Ndo was sarcastic, but Amadi ignored him. Amadi, don't mind Ndo. If you kill the bear and the king insists you take his daughter, then take her and bring her to me because I am ready to take her in on your behalf. Okechi added, and it was followed by a roaring laughter from the hunters and some other people in the bar who were eavesdropping. The sky was gloomy because it was exactly in the heart of the rainy season. The hunters gathered at the place of King Ikwere, the traditional ruler of Umeza Autonomous Kingdom. Early that morning, the town crier, Opute, on the instructions of the king, had gone round the four kindreds that made up Umeze, beating the gong and announcing that the king needed the attention of every hunter at his palace for an emergency meeting. It wasn't long before the palace got filled with many hunters, but both young and old men. The traditional kola nuts, which often precede every meeting at the palace, was ignored because the situation at hand called for an abnormal approach. However, Ukechukwu, the more senior palace guard, served every hunter with shots of traditional gin called akamere, which was produced by refining the palm wine. They all drank off the coldness of the morning with a gin as they waited the entrance of the king. Immediately the king sat on his throne. He was greeted with, "May the king live long," by the hunters, and he never wasted time in addressing the hunters on the matters at hand. The great hunters of Umese, I greet you all. The king began. "May you live long, our king," they responded. Just yesterday, many women trooped into this palace, lamenting about the destruction of this farm crop by a giant bear. They claimed that the bear had been seen severally by many farmers, but nobody had been able to kill it because they claimed it looked wild and wicked. Many of you here are aware that our community has been known by bravery and daring behavior. Don't forget, Cicely, that this kingdom had had history of good marksmen who were revered. Have you forgotten Imaga, the hunter who killed a lion with his spear? What about Ojono, who tracked an elephant and killed it before it could destroy our village? Don't forget Tonyemere, the hunter who killed a monstrous bush pig with his spear. We have too many brave hunters from history who achieved so much for our community in the time past. My question now is, what has gone wrong with our bravery? How could your wives complain about the destruction of their farm crops by a Maypear and none of you could take it up and destroy the beasts? I have been shocked because the complaints had been coming to me from over 20 market weeks, and you are all uncertain. And should I be relaxed? Many of you have been bringing their games to me to buy every morning, and I wonder why I have not been given the means of the beer to buy. He paused towards their countenances. Some looked sober, while others looked rumorous, but majority of them looked angry. The brave hunter of Fumese, you must kill this bear. I am concerned. I am worried that one day you will begin losing the lives of people to beer, because after eating the cross, it would come from the flesh of our people. I have 3 daughters, and 2 of them have married. My last daughter will be given to the bravest hunter among you, who would kill the bear. She was with me when the throng of the village women came here, lamenting about their loss in the farm. She had agreed to marry the bravest hunter, even as a second wife, provided she is given her respect as a princess in the kingdom. He paused again and washed their face. Many of them smiled, while many others kept muted. I need your responses first before the day breaks into sunrise. May our king live long, began under. You have spoken well, but the issue of giving your daughter to the hunter who would kill the bear is not necessary. Majority of us here are happily married with 3 or 4 wives, and we have not had need for another wife. Or let me speak for myself. I may not need an additional wife. Yes, the bear has been causing havoc, and we have been tracking it to kill it. But it often ran into the deepest part of the evil forest called Dindin to hide, and that makes it impossible for us to penetrate with ease. Our ancestors warned us about the dangers of hunting in the evil forest, and some of us here believe that a bear could be a spirit from the forest. I am not saying that we should not be able to kill it, but we would continue to try until we kill it. He sat down. May our king live long, Amadi began. I am really disappointed with what Tundu just said about the bear being a spirit from Dindin. Spirits don't show their physical self. Rather, they act as spirits, unseen. Again, the evil forest had been seen in those days as a place where twins were thrown into, where children that were born with tooth were thrown into, where children that began growing teeth from the upper teeth reached were thrown into. We have long stopped that culture with the coming of Christianity in our land. He turned to the king. Even the king himself, your fathers personally borrowed the building of the Catholic Church at the Market Square because he believed so much in Christianity, and many of us here believe in it too. Is it not time we went into the forest and dared the bear? Do we reject the existence of the evil forest and at the same time give credence to the existence? By my last count, the last children thrown into the forest have been over 10 decades, and we are still here talking about his existence. Our king, I will suggest that we go into the forest and hunt down the bear in order to bring peace in our village. On the issue of your daughter being the prize for the game, I wouldn't tell you not to motivate us, but you must be sure that it won't bring any rancor among us. He sat down. Everywhere became quiet. One could even hear the pounding of hearts of the hunters. Nobody could speak further because Amadi had punched the fear that had been in the minds of the people. The king looked forlorn. How could he not to have thought about removing the evil that was tied to such a large expanse of land because of the sins of the past, sins committed out of ignorance to the laws of creation? Yes, the forest is long overdue for clearing, the king said. Let me hear from any other person here before we continue. May our king live long, began Uche, the youngest of the hunters. I would like to appreciate my elder brother, Amadi, for making a very wonderful suggestion. But my fear is that the forest is very thick and wide. We might see that the capacity of swallowing 20 people and lion that could be killed by thousands of people. Dindin is now a forest reserve recognized by the Ministry of Education. I was even told the last time I went there that the government is also planning to turn that place into a game reserve because they have found out that there are many rare wild animals living there. They also plan to have a zoo in it so that many people could come there, pay a little money, and view the animals in the cage. It will bring development to our place, but it also has its own problem. One of the problems is the issue of the white bear we are having. The government will prohibit the killing of any animal from the reserve. It might attract prison sentence if violated. I would suggest that we stop any plan of going into the forest and lay siege on the wild bear. It comes out to destroy the crops, and we could kill it when it sights in. It is our duty to do the needful for our people. As for your daughter, I am highly interested because I am not even married. I will strive to kill the bear, and by God's grace, she will be a princess and wife. He sat down, and for the first time, the king and the hunters smiled. Thank you, Uche. We have heard you told us about the plans of the government to take over Dindin because you seem to know much about the plans of the government, the king asked Uche. My king, I didn't want to tell you what hasn't been verified because the government by right should tell the community officially about the plans they have for every community. I thought it would be wise if you hear from them instead of hearsay from me. I only brought it up to avoid us making mistake, which is seldom quietly. Thank you for listening. We are going to continue the reading in the next episode.